In the 6th year of our marriage, my husband, always a vegetarian, prayerful, cold and austere, suddenly slapped me. The reason was that his concubine's illegitimate son had been in a car accident, and he was convinced I'd hired someone to do it. I suddenly didn't want to endure anymore. I just wanted to smash the pot and go down with it, to make everyone miserable. Afterward, he tried desperately to make amends, but he could never go back. Smack. Furious and restless, I was lost in playing the violin to ease my mood when Benson suddenly strode in, grabbed my shoulder from behind, forcing me to spin around, and then slapped me hard across the face. My left ear rang instantly, my left cheek burning with pain, and the resentment I'd buried for more than 20 years erupted uncontrollably. Once I regained my footing, I glared at him with murder in my eyes. "Was it you who hired someone to cause Sophia and Oliver's car accident this morning? Didn't I warn you to stay away from her and Oliver?" Sophia was both the apple of his eye and his concubine. Oliver was his illegitimate son. Whenever anything stirred, whenever there was a scrape or bruise, they all blamed me first, no questions asked, convinced I had ordered someone to do it. Facing his enraged, accusatory mien, I knit my brows, gritted my teeth, and slapped the violin in my hand straight at him, striking his head with no mercy, intending to crack him open. Thud. Unfortunately, I held the violin in my left hand and lacked the strength. I couldn't actually finish him off. "Vivian! Are you out of your mind?" Caught off guard by the counterattack, Benson staggered a couple of steps to steady himself. Dazed and stunned, clutching his tingling head, he bellowed at me in uncontrollable fury. I didn't back down and shot back. "I've never had anyone slap me in my life. Try touching me again and I'll make sure to kill you, you scum." Benson stared at me in shock and disbelief. He couldn't understand it, me, who had always been mild, enduring, swallowing my pride and putting up with everything, actually baring my teeth and fighting back. "Didn't I tell you Sophia wouldn't threaten Mrs. Gu's position? Why are you still touching them?" "Humph." I couldn't help scoffing, laughter sharp with irritation. "Benson, do you think you're the only man in the world? Are you some one-of-a-kind hot commodity? Is Mrs. Gu's position some rare treasure? Do you think I'm really so eager for it?" Faced with the cutting mockery, Benson was instantly silenced. For a moment he had no retort. "Sophia fawning over trash like you means nothing to me. She and her son are ants to me. I wouldn't even bother with them. If I really wanted them dead, it would be a single, fatal blow. I wouldn't tolerate them popping up and strutting before me again and again. Understand? If you do, get out. This is my home, you're not welcome here." Benson stared at me in astonishment, each word ground out through his teeth. "Don't put on an act in front of me. Others might not see through you, but I do. For the sake of profit you can endure anything and do anything. I've said it before, Sophia and Oliver are my line in the sand. Don't be ungrateful." "Me put on an act? You think you can fool me? Praying and fasting all day, pretending to be sentimental, but at your core you're nothing but scum. Your father kept concubines, took in illegitimate children, and you want to share wives and bring in bastards too? Why don't you just go to heaven? Even a trash bag can't hold as much as you." I knew exactly where to jab to hurt him the most. Sure enough, Benson, humiliated and enraged, flushed red with anger, struck dumb, suddenly aware of shame and decency, recognizing that his deeds couldn't withstand the light of day. "You say I stoop and stretch for profit, that I stop at nothing? Didn't you make the one you loved into a mistress for profit, doing nothing but disgraceful things in the dark? Where are you more noble than me? Pretending to be a man of the monastery all day, I'd wager even the Buddha would find you despicable. Scum. Do you want a divorce?" Benson blurted out in anger, thinking he could threaten me. I said disdainfully, "Yeah, hurry up. Before your little wife gets impatient and starts causing trouble to frame me. If she doesn't mind the effort, I'm the one who minds it for her. I'll look into this thoroughly. If it was you, I won't let you off." After the furious warning, Benson turned and left in a huff, looking seriously upset. The housemaid standing beside him with a tray of tea dared not say anything more. She set the tray down and left the parlor. I looked down at the broken violin in my hands, like my own ruined life, tattered and worn. It was time to fix it properly. Before the marriage arrangement, I already knew Benson had a first love, but she was in a vegetative state, having lain unconscious in bed for more than 2 years. Moreover, ever since her car accident, Benson had taken to fasting and chanting. Prayer beads never left his hands as he begged for her safety, even keeping himself pure for her sake. But as the chief heir of the Gu family, he couldn't spend his life clinging to a living corpse, unless he renounced being the successor and gave up everything the Gu family provided. Even if he himself were willing to give up, his elders would never allow it, especially his mother, Amanda. She would sooner see the woman he loved killed than permit him to renounce inheriting the Gu family business. So, under the influence of many factors, he chose to form an alliance with my Mo family. The reason is laughable. They said my eyes resembled his first love, Sophia. And I had my own bitter reasons for having to accept the arranged marriage. I am the eldest granddaughter of the Mo family. My value to them is as a marriage pawn, a tool to strengthen the clan, even to serve as a stepping stone, and I am not respected. From the same mother I also have a younger sister and a younger brother. The other grandchildren are my father's illegitimate children, as well as the children or illegitimate children of my uncle. 5 years ago, my mother was in a car accident and became a vegetative patient. Within half a year, my father's concubine swaggered in and took her place, becoming the matriarch of the household. If I refused the marriage alliance, not only would my siblings-in-law have a hard time, but my mother's convalescent expenses would be left unsecured. With no other choice, I had to swallow my pride and compromise, agreeing to the match. Besides, Benson's conditions weren't bad in other respects. Aside from having someone in his heart, there was nothing I couldn't accept. What I hadn't expected was that in the 3rd year of marriage, Sophia woke up. Her awakening quickly shattered the courteous facade of the marriage alliance and turned it into an entanglement among 3 people. Especially after she got pregnant with Oliver, she made no secret of attending all the Gu family events, arrogantly wearing the title of second wife, and repeatedly taunting me in front of others until I was utterly stripped of dignity, becoming the butt of everyone's jokes, yet I could only grit my teeth and endure. It's not that I haven't thought about divorce, it's just that the timing isn't right. I don't want to let the person who humiliated me get away so easily. Ring. A phone call suddenly cut through my gloomy thoughts. I turned and picked up my phone. It was a call from a hospital orderly. Without hesitation, I answered. Hello, Lisa, is something wrong? Vivian, your mother had an accident. Come to the hospital right away. I felt as if struck by lightning. Panic surged through me. After hanging up the phone, I hastily gathered a few things and drove off to the hospital. Outside the hospital's emergency room, I arrived while the doctors were still working on her. Lisa only said that my mother's breathing had suddenly stopped, and that Lillian had been there and said some nasty things. Lillian, the concubine my father was so eager to promote, must have something to do with this. The lights in the emergency room suddenly went out. A doctor stepped out, took off his mask and said, "We did our best. Please accept our condolences and make arrangements for the funeral." A buzzing filled my head in an instant, and like a snapped string my whole body went limp. I staggered and nearly fell. Lisa, who was standing beside me, and the doctor reacted quickly and steadied me, otherwise I would have collapsed. Only one sentence kept repeating in my mind, "I don't have a mother anymore." Lisa helped me into a seat and softly urged, "You have to take care of yourself, that's the only way your mother will be at peace." She must have been through this many times. With that practiced tone she asked, "Do you want us to notify anyone else now? Your brother and sister would probably want to see her one last time, right?" I was in such a hurry on the way over that I didn't have the headspace to tell anyone else. I assumed, as I always had, that we'd be lucky and it would be a false alarm, that Mom would pull through. I never imagined she would be gone so suddenly. I kept taking deep breaths to calm myself, to steady myself and deal with what was in front of me. Pretty soon I regained my composure, decided to call the police and demand an autopsy. I wasn't going to let a single villain off the hook. 2 days later the autopsy was finished, and my mother was transferred to the funeral home for preparation. I called my younger siblings and their spouses to handle the arrangements and prepare the funeral together. I didn't tell the rest of the Mo family, nor the Gu family. After all, no one would care. She had been disliked in life and resented by many. There was no need to let her become a nuisance in death. But they still came to the funeral. Seeing Lillian's triumphant face, the corner of her mouth she couldn't hide, her pretentious incense offering, a murderous rage rose in me in an instant, heat flushing up my body, impossible to suppress. In front of everyone, I suddenly lifted my leg and kicked hard, sending her flying, crashing heavily to one side, prompting a gasp from the crowd and utter chaos. "Ah! Vivian! Are you insane?" After the heavy fall and shriek, Vincent, furious beyond control, barked at me as if he wanted to tear me apart. I, unafraid and icy, said, "The car accident that killed my mother 5 years ago was her doing. She's closely involved with you." This time my mother suddenly died. She ordered it, gave her an injection. "Don't think I don't know." "What nonsense are you spouting?" The crowd's gossip instincts flared. They couldn't help exclaiming and commenting. Vincent, humiliated and furious, snapped. "My mother was the only seal on me. Now that she's gone, I have nothing left to hold back." So, I couldn't help but sneer. What nonsense. What about his existence? I pointed angrily at Vincent and Lillian's illegitimate son, Jalen. "What's the meaning of your family of 4 coming here today? To show off or to provoke?" In aristocratic families, multiple partners and illegitimate children aren't unusual, so Vincent only scolded, "Have you made your point? Can you behave? Do you even know what kind of occasion this is?" "Of course I know what kind of occasion this is. It's my mother's funeral. If I don't seek justice for her, I'm unworthy of being her daughter. I'd be afraid she couldn't rest in peace." I scanned the crowd and spotted Benson, who was staring at me in utter astonishment. I didn't think much of it, then sneered, "Let me tell you another secret, I pointed at Jalen. Jalen had a heart transplant, and that heart was ripped out of a living person. "Oh my God, no way, seriously? That insane?" Smack. The room erupted in uproar and whispered gossip. Before I could finish speaking, Vincent stormed forward, red-faced with anger, and raised his hand to slap me, only to be stopped by my brother Ethan, quick-eyed and quicker-handed. Ethan countered with a backhand and warned, "Try laying a hand on my sister and see what happens. You are all so ungrateful, thinking you can turn the world upside down?" Vincent seethed, his face flushed, nearly fainting. Ethan was taller than him and in the prime of youth and strength. If it came to a fight, Vincent didn't stand a chance. "Take that bitch and the bastard she spawned and get out, now. Don't sully my mother's funeral, or I won't hesitate to make sure you leave feet first," Ethan said through clenched teeth, his knuckles cracking under pressure, full of threatening warning. Vincent wanted to put on a show of family harmony. "We siblings don't spoil her at all." "Vincent, I'm hurt, my ankle hurts, my back hurts too. Take me to the hospital first." Faced with all the pointing fingers and whispered comments, Lillian suddenly spoke in a coquettish voice, looking as if she were seriously injured and barely able to bear the pain. Vincent thought for a moment, scooped her up in his arms crosswise, and turned to leave, afraid that lingering any longer would shred the pretense even more and reveal further things best left in the dark. Jalen and his sister Jessie, seeing the situation, glowered at us sullenly, hurriedly turned and followed, too ashamed to linger any longer. "Why didn't you call me?" After the funeral order had been restored, Benson came and stood beside me, fingers looping his prayer beads, and asked suddenly, "You were only a nominal son-in-law anyway, and soon you wouldn't be one at all." There was no need. I kept my gaze fixed on my mother's portrait and replied with indifference. Benson was instantly left speechless with anger, staring at me intently, but in front of everyone he did not lose his temper. The funeral quickly drew to a close, and my mother was taken to the crematorium. While we were waiting for the ashes, the video of the clash at the funeral shot up the trending list. I had ordered my people to do it, to ruin the Mo family's reputation and make them suffer retribution. At the same time, my mother's autopsy report and the traffic accident report were released, along with some evidence that Lillian had hired killers, and even the details of how Jalen obtained the heart were not spared. Riding the wave of attention, everything was made public at once for society to pass judgment, to ensure the MO family's name was utterly destroyed and completely socially dead. I owned a digital technology company that had lain low for years, fully prepared. By the time Vincent reacted and tried to do PR, it was already far too late. The matter had thoroughly fermented online and could not be contained. "Sis, do we not have a home anymore?" My younger sister Serena asked suddenly, her face full of loss. I diverted my gaze from the phone screen and put on a show of resolve. "No. As long as I'm here, your home remains. Mom's gone. Are you going to get a divorce?" "Yes," I answered without hesitation. "Sophia treats you like that, are you okay with it?" "No, I won't accept it. No one is going to have it easy." "You aren't going to ruin yourself over this, are you?" Serena asked, worried. "No, I know my limits." That's good," I answered firmly. Serena didn't ask further, she seemed considerably relieved. After we collected the ashes, the three of us siblings went home together, to my villa, to pick an auspicious date and time for the burial. As soon as we got home and stepped through the door, the maid said Benson and his mother were here. After they'd stormed off from the funeral home, I had no idea what more they could possibly want to say. "How could you bring that thing home? Such bad luck. You really don't understand anything. You could have left it at the funeral home." Seeing my brother holding the urn and my sister holding the black and white memorial photo, Amanda, who had been sitting in the living room waiting, instantly frowned and complained, her face full of disdain. I kept a blank expression and, quite bluntly, snapped back, "This is my home. Even if you turned it into an ash room, none of your business." Used to my meekness, Amanda suddenly flew into a rage when she heard me talk back. "How dare you speak like that? I was trying to warn you kindly. If you don't appreciate it, fine." Was it necessary to snap at me? Benson sat with one leg crossed on the sofa, indifferent as ever. He silently rolled his prayer beads and stared at me, saying nothing. "State your business. If you have none, please leave. I don't have the leisure to entertain you." I coldly issued the eviction order, which only infuriated Amanda more. She snapped, "Your mother passed away and you need to arrange a funeral. Why didn't you notify the Gu family beforehand? Was that on purpose to disgrace the Gus? To make outsiders laugh? There are plenty of ways the Gu family can disgrace itself, one more won't matter. Besides, your son and I will be divorced soon, so there's really no need for further entanglement." I went on with my own tasks, putting things away and wiping the TV stand, while my brother set up the urn. "What did you say? You want a divorce?" Amanda's face was full of disbelief, she exclaimed, astonished. I turned and sat on the armchair, met Benson's eyes and said, "Find some time to draw up a divorce agreement and get the paperwork done. Your mother just passed away, you're not in a good mood, I can understand that. You don't need to use divorce as an outlet, there's no going back," Benson said coolly, a hint of warning threaded through his tone. Yes, really no need to bring up divorce casually." Amanda hurriedly agreed, because profit came first, everything else was unimportant. "My mind is made up. This is notification, not a game of playing hard to get, and certainly not a tantrum. If you don't agree, I will file for divorce. When that happens, don't blame me for being heartless," I stated decisively, leaving no room for negotiation. "Is it because of Sophia and Oliver?" Benson remained as cold as ever, his face showing no emotion, as if everything were under his control. "I told you, they won't affect your position." "Humph." I couldn't help but snort, a disdainful laugh escaping me. "Oh really? I still remember the look on your face a few days ago when you stormed in angry and slapped me." "What? Son of a bitch. How dare you hit my sister?" Ethan, who had been drinking water beside us, sprang up indignantly, ready to strike back, but Serena hurriedly grabbed him. "You fucking monk now? Go worship your damned Buddha. What kind of skill is it to hit your own wife? What kind of man is that? How are you talking? That's just too harsh, Amanda couldn't help but scold. Ethan grew even angrier. Me harsh? Then teach your son some manners. The example at the top sets the tone below. What kind of person is he? Parading around with his mistress and that illegitimate child, refusing to divorce, what more does he want? Does he think my sister is easy to bully? That she should just swallow her pride and take it? That scumbag, hypocritical and selfish, with the audacity to wear prayer beads non-stop and pretend to be a gentleman, doesn't he have any shame? Wounded, Benson instantly flew into a rage and snapped at me. I never hid Sophia's existence from the start. What exactly are you making a scene about now? You didn't hide it, but I never expected you to be so shameless, to turn out like your father. I have always hated mistresses and illegitimate children, especially those who show up to flaunt and taunt the lawful wife. I'm not making a scene, my mother is gone, and I have no reason to keep enduring it. Clear? I made no concessions, each sentence striking at the heart, which sent Benson flying to his feet in a fury. Teeth clenched, he spat out a cruel line. You want a divorce? Dream on. I, Benson, can be widowed, but never divorced. Having said that, he walked straight past the tea table and left, no longer lingering. As always, when he couldn't win an argument or stand the pressure, he ran away. He knew he was wrong but wouldn't change, forever self-willed, stubborn to the end. Even if he preached and fasted, he still wanted everything. A wife from a matching background, educated and refined, he wanted that. A tender, delicate, fragrant lover, he wanted that too. Truly, he wanted it all. Amanda, her face drained of color, asked, so those videos online, you made them? Are you trying to destroy the Mo family? I didn't want to answer, and said coldly, that doesn't seem to concern you. You'd better take care of yourself first. Amanda seemed to understand something. She picked up her bag and left without asking any more questions. What kind of people are these? They're all trash. Ethan couldn't help but complain. Alright, let's go eat. I was exhausted and too hungry to think much, so I stood up and said. Don't we need to offer incense first? Serena suddenly reminded us. My siblings and I had never done this before, we had no experience and didn't know much. But in the end we still set out the offerings in the living room, completed the incense rites, then went to dinner, washed up, and tried to rest, putting everything else aside for the moment. The next morning, the Mo family's company, Jingxin Group, saw its stock plunge and hit the daily limit. That afternoon, Lillian and Vincent were arrested one after the other. Everything related to them had already exploded online, including the dark secrets behind Jalen's heart transplant. Those stories trended high and stayed there, infuriating netizens and igniting their resentment toward the rich. People grew even more enraged at the so-called privileges the family held, many vowing that not executing them would be an affront to justice. In the evening, the old Mo family residents couldn't reach me. After repeated calls and entreaties with no response, they sent people to fetch me back. When I stepped through the door, Grandpa Reginald, Grandma Agatha, my younger uncles and aunts were all there, putting on the full gravitas of a 3-hall inquest, ready to mete out judgment. I figured there was no way I'd be walking back out that door today. Bang! Reginald erupted first, hurling the teacup in his hand at me in a furious smash and shouting, "You worthless bastard! What on earth are you trying to do? The Mo family's reputation is ruined and the losses are enormous, what good does that do you?" I nimbly dodged the teacup and replied with casual indifference, "It doesn't do me any good, but I'm going to avenge my mother, I'll take a few enemies down with her as company." That's not unreasonable, is it? Everyone was shocked and startled. None of them expected that I, usually so docile, could be so extreme and radical. My Uncle Jackson said bluntly, "If you want revenge, there's no need to make it public like this, right? If the Mo family falls, your life at the Gu household won't be easy either. You'd better take down the video online. If your mother had been killed by someone, would you be able to make a big thing small and a small thing disappear?" I asked back without any politeness. Their faces immediately turned unpleasant. No one argued. If the Emo family doesn't fall, I can't get my revenge. You will all protect Vincent and Lillian, including Jalen. Your wealth and power are like daggers thrust at the weak. Take Jalen. The owner of the heart inside his body was just a young woman in her early 20s, who on her way home from work was inexplicably injured and then had her heart ripped out alive. Nobody even knows why. Tell me, who are she and her family supposed to turn to for justice? Is that fair? Reginald looked ill, clutching his chest, appearing very uncomfortable and unable to accept it. I continued, those who do many unjust things will bring about their own doom. You two old people failed to raise your children properly and indirectly caused my mother's death. It's only fair you suffer retribution. I merely exposed the truth to the public and let the villains face society's judgment. What's wrong with that? The Emo family shares in honor and in shame. What did we do wrong? Aunt Marlene couldn't help but snap, since it did involve her own interests. You really did nothing wrong? You tormented my mother plenty, together with your mother. Keeping my mother and us siblings from eating at the table was normal. I couldn't help but taunt and warn, oh, by the way, I've got dirt on you too. Be careful not to rile me. I could ruin your reputation and you'd never fit into the high society circle. Are you insane? Marlene immediately panicked. Agatha, always caustic and delighting in tormenting others, stared at me fixedly as if looking at a corpse, her face sullen, saying nothing. So I teased, smiling, are you particularly eager to kill me? Let me tell you, if I die, your fate will be even more miserable. Agatha instantly ground her teeth and snapped, I never thought you would be such an ungrateful white-eyed wolf, with no sense of family loyalty at all. She always carried herself as if perched on high, presenting an air of absolute authority that brooked no contradiction. When we were children I feared her, but now, I don't fear her at all. So, without any ceremony, I shot back, keeping a rotten root family like this is only asking for trouble. Why should I cling to faith for that? Grandfather. Reginald suddenly fainted from anger, causing chaos to erupt in the hall. His cousin hoisted the old man onto his back and rushed out to the hospital, while the others clustered and helped carry him along. Jackson stared at me with furious resentment but said nothing, following them out. I knew they could have killed me, or crippled my arm to punish me, forcing me to submit. If they wanted to, they could. It's just that I hadn't expected to walk away completely unscathed from the start. A few days later, Jalen was dead, stabbed to death by the father of the heart donor. That father, ever since his daughter died, had been in a daze, living like a ghost. He hadn't known the behind-the-scenes truth before, but once he learned it he took his revenge, which somehow eased his mind. Moreover, the hospital and doctors involved in that operation were all placed under investigation. No one could escape responsibility. To get back at me and ruin my reputation, Jessie rode the wave of attention and spread all kinds of lies online, twisting right into wrong and white into black, claiming that her parents were the true lovers and that my mother had schemed to tear them apart like tragic swans. She even slandered me with the old saying, like mother, like daughter, accusing me of being the other woman who climbed up by seduction. To get Benson, 7 years ago I staged a car accident, turning Benson's girlfriend into a vegetable. Only then did I have the chance to marry Benson and become Mrs. Gu. When the fake accusation video hit the trending list and public opinion turned overwhelmingly against me, Sophia, to utterly finish me off, stole a friend's social account and joined the smear, claiming everything was true, that I had indeed caused the accident, and that Sophia, by great fortune, had not died but become a vegetable, lying unconscious in bed for more than 5 years. She even posted some photos from the crash and the treatment, making it all look well documented. This led to my details being dug up even further, sparking an online mob. A flood of vicious insults and curses poured into my social feeds and my phone. As ugly as words can be, they came, unbearable to look at. After the smear videos had fermented to a certain point, I went straight to the police and had them handled, and I exposed all of Jessie's past scandals online, including how she once drugged a certain young master to sleep with him. As for Sophia, I didn't hold back anymore either. I released the traffic camera footage from her accident years ago. The video clearly shows that she and Benson were in a heated argument and fought over the steering wheel, which caused the crash. Moreover, much of the information showed that it was Benson who wanted to break up with her, which led to the subsequent fight and the accident, nothing to do with me. Besides, I exposed her for being promiscuous, having a child out of wedlock, and all the evidence of her cheating on others. I made sure she could never recover or swagger back in front of me. As the saying goes, you must strike the snake's 7-inch spot, it must be fatal in one move. My mother is gone, and I no longer care about the marriage with Benson or appearances, so I have nothing left to hold back. Unfortunately, Benson was behind her, and to protect the Gu family's face and interests, the negative trending topics about her were quickly taken down. They never caused much damage or triggered real online abuse, at most they cost her dignity within the circle, turning her into a laughingstock and gossip. I knew it would be like this all along. After all, Benson still cares about appearances, and the Gu family still needs to keep up their respectability. That night I went to a private club to find someone and happened to spot Benson. He and his good friend Matthew were heading toward the balcony, seeming to want some fresh air. When I moved closer, ready to speak, I suddenly heard Matthew teasingly ask, "If you like Sophia so much and you even have a child with her, why don't you divorce and marry her?" Benson's tone was as indifferent as ever. "She isn't fit to be a wife. She can't handle my family, she can't keep our household peaceful and free of worries." So that's why he didn't want a divorce, that was his idea. How shameless. Do you think Vivian will always swallow her pride? Aren't you afraid she'll turn against you one day? Matthew asked again. Even clay figures have a bit of temper. A little bickering now and then is fine, as long as one knows their limits. She's been living out of your marital home for over a year, and it's still just little squabbles? She'll move back. When she wants a child, I'll give her one. Benson sounded very nonchalant. Ha ha ha, seems your mindset's on another level. Matthew teased with a wild laugh, then asked curiously, "But I'm really curious, where did she get all those dirt? What does she actually do behind the scenes? She wouldn't be a private detective, would she?" "Don't know, not interested. All I know is she owns a digital technology company. Maybe she always planned to take people down, so she had that dirt ready." Benson's tone sounded somewhat low and despondent. "So you're saying she's actually pretty scary? Can you really handle her?" Benson smoked, saying nothing more. I had no interest in eavesdropping any longer, nor in discussing it further, so I turned and started back. Unexpectedly, I ran straight into an acquaintance, Cyrus. He was standing at the entrance to the private room, looking over this way with curiosity. "Mr. Cyrus, long time no see." I greeted with a smile. Cyrus beamed and raised an eyebrow in invitation. "Shall we have a drink together?" "Sure, I actually wanted to talk to you about something." Cyrus turned and walked toward another empty private room. After ordering liquor and soft drinks, he asked with a smile, "What's the matter?" "Tell me." Jingxin Group stock has hit the daily limit down and is on the verge of delisting. Several projects have already stalled. I want you to take advantage of the opportunity to acquire Jingxin Group, or become its largest shareholder. What do you say? I asked with a face full of expectation. Cyrus lounged somewhat loosely on the sofa, smiling casually. After the acquisition? What else do you plan to do? I don't have many plans. All you need to do is kick the Mo family out of the board, especially my aunt and uncle. I don't want them to keep using Jingxin Group's big tree to do as they please. Jingxin Group has several projects about to turn a profit, you won't lose out. The problem is, your grandfather, aunt, and uncle may not be willing to sell the shares they hold. I have leverage on both my aunt and my younger uncle, I can give it to you and they'll sell out. As for my grandfather, he's old and will weigh the pros and cons. I think you'll find a way. That's possible. Cyrus smiled with meaning, then abruptly shifted tone and asked bluntly, "When are you planning to get a divorce?" "You're not still planning to endure it, are you?" I immediately felt awkward and let out a nervous laugh. I'd like to get it over with as soon as possible, but Benson won't agree. It's a matter of face, Gujia doesn't want any negative fallout. Do you need me to help? Cyrus asked, all seriousness. I was puzzled at once. Help you? How could you help? Benson would rather be widowed than get a divorce. Then you could just become a widower, right? Cyrus said with a casual laugh, as if asking what I had for lunch, nonchalant, yet somehow chilling. I forced an awkward smile. Facing him and the Gu family, I don't have much chance. It's best if he agrees to the divorce. At that moment the waiter brought over drinks and a large fruit platter. My mind was crowded with worries and my nerves taut, so I joined Cyrus in drinking. Before I knew it I was slightly tipsy, my mind dulled, sorrow and the pain of losing my mother rose up inexplicably, and I became deeply sad. I couldn't help but treat Cyrus like a confessional, pouring out my hardships and difficulties in tears. After I'd vented, I was ready to go home. Cyrus didn't stop me, he just quietly listened to my sobs, then, very gentlemanly, saw me home and didn't say anything more. It was just terribly unlucky that when Cyrus steadied me into the car, we ran into an acquaintance who secretly filmed a misaligned video of us, then partially pixelated it and uploaded it online. The headline read, Heiress of Jingxin Group in marital trouble, suspected of cheating with a mysterious man. Because it involved the recent hot topics, the Jingxin Group and Miss Mo, the attention spiked instantly, and since Benson and the Gu family were implicated, the video quickly trended. By the time I woke up from a drunken sleep, it was the next morning. The video was still trending, not letting up, and some of Cyrus's information had been dug up, hinted at conspiracies and such, which resulted in many missed calls and unread messages on my phone. The missed calls from my in-laws' old house were urging me to go over, no doubt to berate me in person, lay down the rules, 80% chance it wouldn't be anything good. The missed calls and messages from Benson were scolding me. What did I mean by putting the video on trending? What were they supposed to think I was trying to do? Did I have to make a huge scene about it? I pretended not to see any of it and didn't reply to the messages. I just took the prepared divorce agreement and went to get Benson's signature. Because it was the weekend, when I arrived at the marital home not only was Benson there, but Sophia and her son were too. Just as I stepped into the foyer, Oliver, who was riding his balance bike, saw me and suddenly shouted, "Bad woman, is here." Then he abandoned the scooter, turned and ran toward Sophia, threw himself into her arms and hid, seeking comfort, as if I were some kind of monster who had once abused him. Benson sat on the sofa. Seeing this, he said nothing, only fixed me with a sullen stare. I couldn't help but sneer, "Is this kid really yours? Why does he look like his brain didn't develop, while his little brain is underdeveloped? Wasn't there supposed to be a car accident? How come he didn't die or even get hurt? Vivian, I know you don't like Oliver, think he's an eyesore and wish he'd disappear, but there's no need to speak so nastily, right? He's just a child, he doesn't understand anything." Sophia spoke with saccharine sweetness, wearing an innocent, seditious look that made my heart seize. I suddenly had the urge to slap her twice. He doesn't understand, and you don't either? Children reflect their parents' upbringing. If you can't educate them, don't have them, whose fault is being this stupid? The moment Sophia heard that, she suddenly wiped her tears and played the weak card, aggrievedly saying, "I know, I'm inferior to you in everything, even. Here we go again. I'm not here to taste green tea, can you shut up?" I snapped rudely, then walked straight over to Benson, clutching the divorce papers across the coffee table and handing them to him. "Here's the divorce agreement. Sign it." Benson didn't take it. With a sullen face he shot back, "You're in such a hurry to divorce, does it have to do with Cyrus? What does that have to do with you?" I looked down at him and retorted, "I will never divorce you. HMPF. I couldn't help laughing in anger. They say spouses are one, but some people don't deserve a partner at all. People like you don't deserve a wife. Binding a wife with divided loyalties with a marriage certificate is meaningless." Benson's expression darkened further. "You're not me, how do you know it's meaningless?" I cast a mocking glance at Sophia and sneered, "If that's the case, why don't we all just abandon loyalty and give up basic decency and choose an open marriage?" I'll go out and find someone to have kids with, can you accept that? Wouldn't you find it filthy? Benson immediately flushed with anger and, grinding his teeth, snapped, aside from divorce, what exactly do you want? Really double standards. Only the magistrate can set fires, but the commoners aren't allowed to light lamps. I tossed the divorce papers at him. Fine, since there's no room for discussion, we'll see each other in court. Vivian, my patience has limits. Don't force me to use measures you can't withstand. Benson lost his composure in fury and warned harshly. I snapped back, my patience has limits too. Compared to me, you have more to lose. If it comes to it, we'll both go down fighting. My gaze flicked to Sophia and her child. I'm really not scared. With that, I turned and headed up the stairs to pack my things and move out. Because I hadn't completely torn things apart before and still wanted to keep some dignity, I hadn't finished taking everything. Benson, why won't you divorce her? Have you fallen in love with her? You said you only loved me, you're the one who made me suffer, who turned me into a vegetable. Don't you owe it to me and the child to take responsibility and give the child a complete home? If you don't divorce her and marry me, do you think I won't take the child and kill ourselves to show you? Sophia cried as she scolded, her voice full of grievance, which made the child start crying too. But Benson was like a closed gourd, he didn't answer or pay her any mind. I went up to the bedroom I used to live in, the furnishings hadn't changed and there was no dust. The housekeeper kept it cleaned regularly, so there was no musty smell. I rolled up my sleeves and began packing. Halfway through, Benson suddenly walked in, leaned against the doorway of the walk-in closet, and said calmly, let's talk. So engrossed was I that his voice made me jump. Annoyed, I snapped, talk about what? What else is there to talk about? He, unprecedentedly, explained, Sophia once saved me. A few years ago she was in a car accident and became a vegetable. I bear some responsibility for that, so I must make it up to her. That includes her wanting children. I can send them away, make sure they never appear before you, just don't divorce me. You can demand any conditions. How about it? So he starts soft if hard doesn't work? Does he really think I'm some idiot driven solely by self-interest with endless patience? Good thing I never fancied that a marriage of alliance would lead to true love. I never longed for mutual affection or perfect harmony with him. I always expected a relationship of polite respect and peaceful coexistence. Otherwise he'd have driven me to depression with his emotional abuse sooner or later. Humph. I couldn't help but snort, sneering. They say you should cultivate yourself before managing a family. Do you even count as a human being given what you've done? Whether you're repaying a debt or pursuing romance, that's your choice. What does it have to do with me? Why drag me into it? Expect me to tolerate and enable your selfishness? Benson was suddenly a little annoyed. I told you, I won't do it again. I couldn't help but curse immediately. You really are a rotten man. Don't make me look down on you. In love you start things and abandon them, as a father you begin but never follow through. Tell me, how do you have the nerve not to get a divorce, wanting both things, wanting to live with me and with her? Benson was suddenly speechless, shame flooding his face until it went red. Before this, all your favoritism went to Sophia. You would unconditionally side with her, no matter how she framed me or targeted me, you would cover for her and clean up the mess. Even when she spread lies about me online and ruined my reputation, you protected her. The moment I struck back, you chose to go after me. Every single thing, I'm the one who suffered the humiliation, every shred of dignity was trampled by you all. And now you have the gall to ask me to forget everything, to put aside grievances and live peacefully with you? How dare you? Do you think I'm the Virgin Mary, that I can forgive everything? Benson seemed not to understand human speech at all, obstinately insisting, I'll change, I'll make up for it. What do you want? Company stock? How much do you want? You're talking to a brick wall. This is pointless. I will never repeat Sophia's fate or have anything to do with you ever again. Get out. Don't interfere while I pack. Benson suddenly turned red with shame and anger, unable to help but hurl abuse. Can you find anyone better than me? Do you think Cyrus will marry you? Is he any better than I am? Get out. Can't you understand human speech? I was packing my bag and slammed it straight into his face. I had absolutely zero patience left. Benson caught the bag with quick reflexes, his expression complicated as he looked at me, as if I had betrayed him, as if I had treated him badly, his eyes full of grievance. In the end, I ignored him and bent back to pack my things. He felt that speaking further would be pointless, a waste of words, so he sensibly turned and left. A few hours later I moved out all my belongings, leaving nothing behind, not even the flowers I had planted in the courtyard, as if I had never lived there. My things were cleared away spotlessly, leaving no trace. A week later, Cyrus completed the purchase of most of Jingxin Group's shares, only the stock in Vincent's hands remained unacquired. So I went to the detention center to see him and asked him to sign the share transfer agreement. Do you hate me that much? The moment we met, Vincent asked with a deadpan face. I couldn't help but sneer and retort, shouldn't I? You ruined my mother's life and almost ruined mine, and my sisters' and brothers' lives too. Don't you deserve retribution? Vincent was suddenly speechless and quietly sat opposite me. I pushed the share transfer agreement toward him. Jingxin Group has changed hands. You'd better transfer your shares to a siblings, or you'll regret it. Vincent, cut off from the news, could only stare in astonishment. In disbelief he said, "How is that possible? Isn't your uncle still around?" The fact is, it really changed hands, I'm not lying. And your precious son Jalen is dead, stabbed to death by the father of the girl whose heart was stolen. Also, your dear daughter Jessie is in detention for slander. All the disgraceful things she once did have been exposed. Life's going to get rough for her now. If someone takes revenge, she could meet a violent end. I spoke lightly, almost casually, but Vincent listened with bloodshot eyes brimming with tears. His lips trembled and he couldn't get a word out. After a long while he finally muttered bitterly, I never imagined it, you, of all people, are the lead wolf, and your mother was the one who held your reins. She's insane. He choked on his words, then abruptly changed tack and asked, if I sign, can you let Jessie go? Get her safely out of the country? A bitter ache flared inside me, children of the same parents, yet treated so differently. Is this what they mean by a child's fate being tied to the mother's shame? Yes. I said it out loud, but I couldn't guarantee she'd be safe after she left the country. Vincent's hand trembled. Without another word he signed and pressed his thumbprint. After I confirmed everything was in order, I folded up the agreement and prepared to leave. Sorry. Vincent choked out an apology as I turned around. A swirl of emotions hit me, but I couldn't help letting out a cold snort. Even if you apologize, it won't reduce your sentence, so save it. I didn't believe he actually thought he was wrong. People like him, if they're guilty, never admit it, they refuse to bow and own up. Such an uncharacteristic, sudden apology was probably just to protect his illegitimate daughter from retaliation. Afterward, I didn't sell the shares. I split them into 3 parts and left them with the 3 of us siblings. Cyrus had no objections and didn't insist on buying them out. A month later, because Benson still refused to sign the divorce papers, I chose to file for divorce, and it wasn't long before the court date arrived. Because the facts were clear, I was well prepared, and the evidence was strong, the judge granted the divorce on the spot. Even though Benson remained adamantly unwilling to accept the divorce, there was no need for any mediation. From then on, Cyrus moved in next door and would drop by for meals now and then. His intention was obvious, he wanted to be my boyfriend. Sometimes he even went so far as to burn incense at my mother's altar with great sincerity, begging her to approve him as a son-in-law. My sister and brother couldn't help but speak up for him, urging me to agree to date him, warning that otherwise I might end up mentally unwell sooner or later. A month later, Lillian's case was decided, death sentence, to be carried out immediately, and civil compensation ordered. The crimes had claimed multiple lives and caused grave harm. Vincent was sentenced to 20 years and deprived of political rights for 5 years. The penalties were combined for multiple offenses, and he was ordered to pay related compensation. As for Jessie, After she got out of detention, she was targeted in retaliation. During a fight, she accidentally caused someone to be maimed and went back inside. She was given a straight 3-year sentence, not even allowed to leave the country. After that, all family matters were settled. My mother could finally be buried. My siblings and I chose an auspicious day and time to lay her to rest properly, so she could rest in peace with no more ties left behind. A year later, Cyrus and I got married. Another year after that, I gave birth to a daughter without complications. She was beautiful and adorable. We named her Ariel. I ran into Benson and Sophia again at the aquarium. At the time, our child was just over 1 year old. Cyrus and I had taken her to the aquarium to play, and by chance we bumped into them, which made the atmosphere briefly a little awkward. "It's been a while. How have you been?" Benson was the first to speak. His eyes were on me, calm as ever. Blue light fell across his face, and fish swam back and forth behind the glass, lending him, inexplicably, a trace of lifelessness. Sophia held her teddy son and looked at me with deep grievance, as if I owed her millions and hadn't paid back, her resentment plain to see. It said Benson didn't marry her. Shortly after divorcing me, he lost his qualification as the family's heir, then entered a monastery and practiced for over a year before returning. At present, he's in the startup phase of founding his own company, and it's said he's already had some success. All is well. How about you? I replied politely. I'm fine too. Benson forced a smile, his gaze falling on my daughter, and added, Your daughter? Very pretty and adorable. Hearing him praise her, Oliver instantly shot back indignantly, ugly as hell. How's that pretty and adorable? Cyrus, cradling his daughter, couldn't help but retort, Kid, be careful calling people names or your mouth'll get wrecked. His daughter was the apple of his eye. If it had been an adult, his hand would probably have already slapped them. Oliver immediately got scared and hid behind Sophia, no longer daring to be rude or insolent. Sorry, this child has been spoiled. Benson's face showed embarrassment. He apologized. He can be a bit tactless. 3 at a glance, 7 to judge a man. Watch your mouth or trouble will follow. Let society teach you a lesson. Without another word, Cyrus pulled me away, no longer interested in chatting with them. Benson looked awkward and stayed silent. Sophia, however, couldn't help but fly into a rage. She jabbed Oliver's forehead hard and hissed through gritted teeth, always making a scene. You've completely embarrassed us. Wha? Oliver burst into tears, looking utterly aggrieved. But Benson snapped coldly, Shut up. If you cry again, we're going back. He really showed no trace of consolation, had no patience to properly teach, to gently correct the child's mistake. Barren soil can't grow roses, withering is only a matter of time. Cyrus said with some feeling, his pace quickening. Let's go, don't look back, it's bad luck. In some ways his mind was truly petty, so petty I couldn't even bring up Benson, or he'd be angry for ages and would need to be carefully placated. Daddy, big fish, big fish. The daughter pointed at the mermaid performance behind the glass and suddenly cried out with delight, then, as if sensing something amiss, corrected herself, mermaid, mermaid. Yes, baby, very clever, it's a mermaid, but it's a person dressed as a mermaid, not a real mermaid. Cyrus explained patiently, not worrying whether the little one could understand. Sure enough, the child immediately looked puzzled, completely failing to grasp the meaning. So I teased her, Baby, how about Daddy turning into a mermaid, okay? The little one's eyes instantly lit up, her childish voice full of curiosity asking, Really? You can't, people can't turn into mermaids. Cyrus refused decisively, holding our daughter with one arm while looping the other around my neck to draw me close, smiling suggestively. With a figure and looks like mine, could you really bear to keep me to yourself? I was momentarily at a loss for words, and couldn't help teasing, You narcissist. Cyrus grew even more animated in an instant. If I can leave you dizzy and dazed, not knowing heaven from earth, what's wrong with being a little full of myself? Shameless. Ha ha ha. Cyrus couldn't help laughing, baring his teeth as he kissed my cheek. If you tell me you love me, I'll be even happier." I couldn't help blushing and shooting him a look, not giving in, but he only smiled wider, as if I'd already said it. "He's really easy to please, full of energy, give him a little color and he'll shine all day. Being around him is effortless and comfortable, he doesn't brood and drain you with his mood. Most importantly, he keeps himself clean, has good character, no messy relationships to cause trouble, he truly is a very good person." I never regretted choosing to marry him, and I certainly never regretted choosing to have his child. Everything was just right, neither too early nor too late, enough. Cyrus's perspective: the first time I felt my heart skip a beat was the moment I saw the bride at Benson's wedding. Her name was Vivian. True to her name, she was like a spray of pale pink roses, delicate without being flashy, restrained in a way that made you ache. It made me want to steal her away. I just felt Benson didn't deserve her. Later, as it turned out, Benson really wasn't a good person, selfish, hypocritical, and greedy. He even fathered an illegitimate child and still wouldn't leave her alone. He made her lose face again and again, stripped her of dignity so thoroughly that I had to restrain myself, just to avoid using methods that would make her widowed. Later still, I really couldn't bear it any longer, and decided to take her away. Her mother was murdered again and died. She not only wanted revenge on the Mo family, she also resolved to get a divorce. So I secretly gave her a hand. Not only did I make the Mo family lose their support and fail to protect her enemies, I also helped her win the divorce, so that Benson and the Gu family could no longer affect her. I schemed and played every trick I knew to woo her for more than half a year before she finally let go of her doubts and agreed to date me. I racked my brains and used my looks to entice her into a relationship for over 6 months, and only then did I at last trick her into marriage, making her the bride I had longed for. I knew she was actually very clever. She willingly immersed herself in the ruse so I could deceive her, so I could become her husband and we could build a warm home together. She became pregnant and gave birth to a daughter, which made the continuity of life feel tangible to me and taught me to respect and cherish life more. Every night when I close my eyes to sleep and every morning when I open them, she is the first thing I see. It fills me with energy and a deep sense of fulfillment. Life should be like this. Those who love me and those I love should be granted full and overflowing happiness. Benson's perspective: habits are a frightening thing, they brand the body, and the mark can never be removed. Take my ex-wife Vivian, for example. Being polite and harmonious with her for 3 years was the most comfortable, carefree time of my life. She was gentle, well-read, and meticulous, so much so that I mistook her for someone without a temper, someone who would put her husband above all and never leave me. Even if I kept a mistress and had an illegitimate child, I believed she would, like other society wives, swallow her pride and quietly keep the household peaceful for the rest of her life. But I was wrong. She only hid her edge to avoid trouble. Her mother was like a seal on her. Once it was broken, there was no going back. Sophia was my first love. We broke up and got back together, entangled for many years. We argued over breaking up, then there was a car accident, and she became a vegetable. I always felt I owed her, that I should make it up to her, even if that meant giving her a child. I just didn't expect my life to be ruined like this, trapped in the mire and never able to escape. They say the man who wrongs his wife will see no wealth come to him. When I learned Vivian had remarried, I suddenly felt life was utterly meaningless. Seeing her daughter, seeing the bright, brazen smile on her face, her words suddenly rang in my ears: "You're really a rotten person." Yes, I'm truly a rotten man. I've become exactly the kind of man I despise most. I cheated my wife, wronged my children and betrayed my mother, abandoned things I started. I'm utterly unworthy of being called human.